expecting growth to be in the range of 7 to 8%, but we will, if we are lucky, end up this year with around 5%. I think there are wildly different projections these days. The World Bank has said that the growth will be below 5%, but the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council say it will be at least 5.5%. So that's the range. I think it is plus or minus 5. But what has happened in the very recent past is that we've had an excellent monsoon. The monsoon has been better than we've had for more than a decade. It was well over 100% of what they consider as the long-term average. And so I think that that will certainly result in better agricultural production, more income in rural areas. And I think that since the bulk of the economy is still in rural areas, I think we will see that spurt, but you will see it maybe a little later towards the end of this year. Our financial year normally ends in March, so we still have some months to go for that. I think the main slowdown has been in industrial production, in manufacturing, and in infrastructure. I think these areas have been of great concern. I think if you look at India, you realize, anyone who's visited India, that we have a huge deficit on infrastructure. We have an enormous amount of positivity in terms of entrepreneurship, but infrastructure definitely has the physical infrastructure, social infrastructure. This has been a big deficit for us. And I think that the press love to say policy paralysis. I don't know whether that's true or not, but at least in the last few weeks, there's been an enormous change in attitudes. We've had a new governor of the Reserve Bank, Mr. Rajan. He comes from the World Bank, from the IMF, and from the multilaterals. He's been an advisor to the government, and I think his coming as the Reserve Bank governor has certainly reversed the popular perception that the rupee was only heading down. I think we've seen the rupee go to about 67, 68 rupees to the dollar, but we're back to around 61. I think the finance minister is now on record to say that he feels that it will end up this year around between 58 and 62. So I think 60 is the middle point, which is probably closer to where it will be. Actually, foreign trade has done well. If you look at our import and export figures, they've been skewed because of gold imports, but the government have sort of restricted gold imports by putting higher duties on it. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but basically I think lots of Indians feel that they don't have adequate savings instruments. So Yari, you come from a bank, and if 90% of Indians feel that banks are not worth putting their money in, but it's better to put money in gold and keep it under their pillow, that seems to be the general sentiment. So I always wonder about why is it that we can't reach out more for savings, etc. But the savings rate continues to be reasonably okay. I think manufacturing is the one big area of concern for us. I have done a lot with CII to promote manufacturing over the last many decades. And for CII, this is a very, very crucial area. And to see manufacturing go into negative territory is very painful. But that's the reality currently. Manufacturing, the growth rate in manufacturing this year will at best be more or less even, or may even be a slightly negative. But this is a great area of concern. And I think that if you look at manufactured goods, the opportunity now, because of the rupee having readjusted a little bit for exports, is enormous. I've seen some companies, a very prominent two-wheeler company in India, which has 40% of its production exported, have reported the last quarter was their best ever quarter in sales, in profits, in every way. So I think that there is opportunity out there. There's no doubt about it. And I think you have to find the right opportunity. I think infrastructure has has been a difficult area. Regulatory issues surrounding infrastructure has been an issue because of the multiplicity of organizations that are involved in it, policy not being very consistent and very clear. But that is a huge area of opportunity. I think that the industry ministry has been promoting this industrial corridor between Bombay and Delhi, and the Japanese are going to be investing in it. A number of townships, brand new townships are coming up in that area, and that, I think this is being looked on as a possibility of enormous opportunity for investment and growth. A bit of it starts out partly in Maharashtra, but a major part of it goes through Gujarat, and then into Rajasthan and into Delhi and Haryana, etc. So I think those states should see benefit. And as a result of this corridor being promoted, other countries, the British government have been promoting a corridor, say from Bombay to Bangalore. And I can't remember who, but one of the other countries is promoting a corridor which would extend it right up to Chennai. And then there is a corridor from Delhi to Calcutta, which is being promoted. So I think if these industrial corridors come up, it will be good, because then the government has to take the responsibility for finding the land, developing the townships and the industrial towns along the way. We've just had a new law on land acquisition, which has put a lot of onus on the government to make sure that the land acquisition process is completely above board. It's the compensation that's paid for land is adequate, or even more than adequate, I would say, because they put a multiplier factor in it. And so I think that we will see one area, and Sam will, I hope, talk much more on that, is that this direct transfer of money to recipients instead of the normal process of giving subsidy to everyone. I think that should change the economic scenario, but that will, it will take some time. So I think that's, broadly speaking, the scenario as it is today.